Space had always been silent beyond the thin blue bubble humans called Earth. But when the first signals came from beyond the Kuiper Belt, they were not messages of peace, they were warnings. Galaxies whispered tales of a species that hunted indiscriminately, harvesting every sentient species they encountered, consuming their knowledge, their resources, and leaving nothing but silent, dying worlds behind. The human race, scattered yet resilient, had grown complacent. Earth, rich with life and unassuming, was invisible to the stars. A target, if noticed, would have been annihilated without hesitation. Yet, when the hunters finally came, they did not anticipate one truth: humans were not prey, they were predators in waiting. It began with the disappearance of colonies on the outer planets. Then came the reports from the deep probes, whole civilizations snuffed out in the blink of a cosmic eye. And in the middle of this growing terror, a single transmission cut through the darkness: if they are hunting, perhaps it's time they meet the hunted. The vacuum of space was not supposed to feel alive. And yet, as Captain Daniel Munro stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, staring into the endless void beyond the observation windows, he could almost feel it breathe. Stars scattered across the darkness like shards of frozen glass, and for a moment, Munro let himself imagine a universe of quiet peace, a cosmos untouched by cruelty. But that illusion shattered in a heartbeat. "Captain, sensors are picking up movement," Lieutenant Jessica Hall said, her voice steady, but threaded with an unmistakable tension. She was scanning the readouts with meticulous precision, every twitch of her finger betraying the strain she felt. Munro didn't flinch. He had known this moment would come. Every deep space probe, every faint transmission from the far reaches of the Sol system, had hinted at it. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the holographic projection floating above the command console. Shapes began to form, not like ships designed by human minds, but as grotesque and elegant constructs of an intelligence that defied comprehension. The hunters had arrived. Munro's jaw tightened. The hunters were the nightmares whispered about in every corner of known space. They had no morality, no hesitation, and no mercy. Entire civilizations had vanished at their touch, consumed and catalogued, leaving only silence and ruin. And now, their attention had turned to the Earth system, an unassuming blue-and-green jewel that had, until now, hidden in cosmic obscurity. "Open a channel," Munro commanded, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "I want to hear what arrogance sounds like this time." Jessica's fingers danced across the console, and a ripple of static filled the bridge. Then a voice emerged, not mechanical, not human, but something that resonated through the hull, a sound that seemed to vibrate directly inside their skulls. It carried a chilling precision, the sort of voice that could make a man forget how to breathe. "You are insignificant," the voice intoned. "Surrender, and perhaps we will leave your planet intact." Munro's hands clenched into fists. "Not a chance," he said, his voice low but unwavering. Around him, the crew of the Liberty held their breath. The alien voice didn't wait for a reply, as if expecting none. Jessica turned to Munro, eyes wide. "Captain, their fleet is massive. We can't take them head-on. We'd be wiped out in minutes." Munro's gaze lingered on the flickering silhouettes of the alien vessels, enormous and silent, floating like predators on the edge of a storm. "Then we fight smart," he said. "We fight like humans." Across the globe, Earth responded with quiet, meticulous precision. Humanity had spent decades preparing, not because they anticipated this exact encounter, but because history had taught them to expect the worst. Hidden deep within orbital stations, underground bunkers, and remote research facilities, the most advanced weaponry ever conceived waited. Project Predation, classified at the highest levels of global security, was about to come alive. In Nevada, Dr. Ellen Marks stood over a bank of holographic displays, her hands trembling as she adjusted parameters for the orbital defense grid. She had spent her life designing these systems, and yet nothing in her years of calculations could fully convey the terror of watching the hunters arrive. "They're here," she whispered to herself, almost as if saying it aloud could make it real. The screens flickered with the approach vectors of dozens of alien vessels, each one moving with a terrifying combination of speed and calculated grace. "And they think we're the prey." On the bridge, Munro's mind raced. He studied the alien formations, the erratic patterns of their movement, the way they didn't yet understand the subtleties of Earth's defenses. "They're arrogant," he said, almost to himself. They assume we won't fight. They assume we're predictable. Jessica leaned closer, tracing her finger over a tactical display. Captain, their sensors are scanning the outer colonies. They're looking for life, intelligent life. They'll know we're here soon enough. Monroe nodded, feeling the weight of command press against him like a physical force. Then we make sure they're wrong. They're hunting every species they find, and they've just stumbled into one that can hunt back. He activated a series of protocols, sending encrypted commands to orbital defense platforms, underwater drone arrays, and autonomous strike units. Humanity's plan was brutal in its simplicity: let the hunters believe they were the predators, and then turn every assumption against them. Below Earth's surface, military convoys moved with terrifying precision. Every soldier, every engineer, every scientist knew their role. Missile batteries hummed to life, cloaked drones took their stations, and orbital cannons calibrated themselves to fire in perfect synchronization. Humanity's heartbeat, once hidden and fragile, now throbbed in a deadly rhythm beneath the hunter's nose. Monroe's attention returned to the holographic map. He saw the hunters converge near Mars, scanning for colonies, detecting life signs, seeking an easy target. He tightened his grip on the console. They don't know what's coming, he murmured. Jessica glanced at him. Do they ever? She asked. No, he replied, voice grim. And that's the advantage we have. They've never met an opponent that thinks like humans. They've never met an opponent that adapts faster than they can destroy. Silence settled over the bridge for a moment, broken only by the faint hum of the ship's systems. The crew knew that once the hunters penetrated the outer defenses, every move would count. There would be no room for error. No second chances. Then came the first strike alert. One of the hunters had veered too close to the asteroid belt, triggering one of Earth's earliest traps. The automated mines activated, detonating with precision and sending a shockwave that disabled several of the alien ship's sensor arrays. Monroe's lips curved into a faint, grim smile. The hunters had assumed the universe was theirs to command, but now, the game had changed. Dr. Mark's voice came over the secure channel. Captain Monroe, all orbital systems are synchronized. We've integrated human intelligence with automated systems. Their arrogance is our advantage. We can anticipate their patterns, predict their strikes, and neutralize them before they even know what hit them. Monroe exhaled slowly. The plan was risky, audacious, even, but it was humanity's only chance. Then we begin the hunt, he said, voice carrying over the bridge comms. Let them see that Earth is no prey. Let them see that the hunters have become the hunted. Outside, the hunters continued their advance, oblivious to the trap they had stumbled into. Their massive forms glinted in the distant sunlight, elegant and deadly, yet blind to the intricacies of human ingenuity. For centuries, they had believed that fear and terror were sufficient to subdue any species. They had never accounted for the resilience of humanity, the stubborn, relentless, unyielding will to survive. Monroe straightened in his chair, eyes fixed on the approaching shapes. Alert all decks. Brace for engagement. Humanity is about to remind the galaxy who we really are. In that moment, as the first tendrils of Earth's defenses stirred to life, the universe seemed to hold its breath. The hunters were here. And for the first time, they were about to encounter something they had never imagined, a prey that would not only fight back but would strike with precision, cunning, and the full force of humanity itself. The stage was set. The game had begun. And when the hunters realized the truth, it would already be too late. The void between Mars and Jupiter had never seemed so alive. Where space had once been a placid, infinite black, it now vibrated with motion and menace. The hunters, arrogant and precise, swept through the outer colonies, oblivious to the invisible snares woven around them. Every move they made was anticipated, every strike they launched met not empty space, but calculated resistance. On the USS Liberty, Captain Daniel Monroe stood rigid at the command console, eyes fixed on the swirling projections of the alien fleet. The hunter ships moved with lethal efficiency, scanning for life signs, calculating trajectories, and marking targets. Monroe knew their confidence, he could almost feel it pulsing from the holographic displays. But confidence, he thought grimly, had never won a war. Status report, Monroe barked. Lieutenant Jessica Hall's fingers flew across the console. Outer colonies are reporting anomalies. Sensors, communications, and life support systems are being disrupted but not destroyed. The hunters don't understand it yet. They think it's natural interference. Monroe allowed himself a brief, grim smile. The hunters' arrogance was their undoing. Good, he muttered. Let's keep them guessing. Earth's hidden weapons, designed for moments like this, began to hum and pulse. Deep beneath the Martian surface, a network of automated drones stirred from dormancy, moving silently through tunnels and caverns, invisible to even the most sophisticated sensors. Swarms of them broke the light of the Martian sun in shimmering patterns, ready to strike. These weren't weapons in the traditional sense. They were intelligence, mobility, and destruction merged into one, a silent predator that would turn the hunters' own strategies against them. In orbit, the first encounter began. A hunter vessel swept low over Mars, scanning for colonies, sensing no danger. And then, the strike unfolded. Mines, camouflaged as asteroids, detonated in precise sequences. Electromagnetic pulses disabled critical systems, leaving the alien ship blind and vulnerable. Drones swarmed from beneath the Martian surface, infiltrating its hull, and turning its own weaponry inward. 2 hunter ships disabled, Jessica reported, voice steady but laced with awe. The others, they don't know what's happening. It's like the planet itself is fighting them. Monroe's eyes never left the tactical display. Good. Keep it that way. Let them think it's luck. Let them underestimate Earth. From the orbital defense stations, guided missiles streaked across space like comets, striking precise points on the hunters' vessels. Hulls buckled, energy cores flared, and for the first time, the hunters experienced something they had never faced, the vulnerability of being hunted. Their calculated arrogance began to falter, replaced by confusion, fear, and desperation. Dr. Ellen Mark's voice came through the secure channel, calm but excited. Captain Monroe, our systems are tracking hunter responses in real time. They're trying to adapt, but every adaptation we predicted. Every countermeasure we've deployed neutralizes their adjustments. Monroe nodded, absorbing the scope of what was unfolding. Humanity had learned from every species the hunters had destroyed, studied their tactics, and adapted them to human technology. Now, the hunters' own strategies were being used against them, twisted and amplified. Captain, I'm detecting anomalies in their communication patterns, Jessica said. They're panicking, subtle, but real. They're trying to retreat, but our traps are closing in. It's almost elegant, watching them fall into it. Monroe allowed himself a brief, sharp exhale. Elegance is survival, he said. They won't see the full picture until it's too late. On Earth, the world watched the skies with bated breath, though few understood the magnitude of the conflict. Satellites relayed images of alien craft crippled in orbit, swarms of drones tearing through alien hulls, and bursts of controlled destruction that illuminated the void. Humanity's defenses were not only advanced, they were orchestrated with a precision that mirrored the cunning of the planet itself. In the midst of the chaos, Monroe reviewed the logs from the disabled hunter ships. Every detail, every calculation, every flaw in their approach had been recorded. This intelligence was invaluable not just for defense, but for understanding a species that had annihilated entire civilizations. Humanity was learning faster than the hunters could adapt. They thought themselves gods, Monroe murmured, almost to himself. Now they know mortality. From the bridge of the Liberty, he directed a series of coordinated strikes. The hunter fleet, once a seamless wave of deadly machines, now fractured under the weight of Earth's counterattack. Automated drones, orbital cannons, and strategically placed mines created a deadly web that the aliens could not navigate. Panic spread among the alien vessels as they realized that their superior technology offered no advantage against a species that thought unpredictably, moved decisively, and anticipated their every action. Jessica's voice was tight with tension. Captain, they're attempting a full retreat, but our interdiction systems are locking them in. They can't escape. Every exit vector is blocked. Monroe's gaze hardened. Then we finish the lesson. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity hunts. The hunters' desperation became more visible. Their attacks, once precise and calculated, grew erratic. They fired blindly, misfired, and collided with each other in confusion. Their technological superiority was meaningless against the subtle intricacies of human strategy, combined with the environmental traps laid across Mars, the asteroid belt, and the orbital defenses around Earth. Dr. Mark's voice cut through the comms again, exhilarated. "Captain, their fleet is disintegrating. Our predictions are holding true, they are now responding exactly how we anticipated. The psychological impact is immense. They're terrified. We've reversed the hunt." Monroe allowed himself a rare smile. He turned to Jessica. They hunted every species they found, and now, for the first time in history, their prey. Every mistake they ever made, every assumption, every moment of arrogance, they're paying for it. The humans aboard the Liberty and across the global command network felt it too, a surge of power, of vindication, of controlled fury. For centuries, humanity had been underestimated, dismissed, even mocked by alien species. Now, every system, every drone, every missile, every human mind was a weapon. And together, they were unstoppable. The hunters retreated, but only temporarily. They were battered, broken, and terrified, yet still alive, a living warning to others that the Earth system was not a prize to be plundered, but a fortress defended by a species whose cunning and resilience were unparalleled. Monroe's voice cut through the bridge once more, firm and commanding. "This is only the beginning. We've turned the tide, but the final lesson is yet to come. They will not hunt again, not unless they want to meet their doom." From the shattered remnants of the outer colonies to the hidden orbital platforms, humanity's forces regrouped and prepared for the next phase. The hunters had learned something vital: the universe contained forces they had never reckoned with, intelligence and determination beyond their expectations, and a species that could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast them at every turn. And as Monroe gazed into the blackness beyond Mars, he knew one truth with absolute certainty: the hunters had underestimated Earth, and that mistake would cost them everything. Humanity had reversed the hunt, and the hunters would never forget the day they met their match. The void was silent again, but now, it carried a warning not just to the hunters, but to the entire galaxy. There was a new predator in the stars, and it bore the name of Earth. The void beyond Mars shimmered with tension, the remnants of the hunter fleet scattered like broken glass across the black canvas of space. What had once been an unchallengeable predator was now fractured, terrified, and vulnerable. Humanity had not just survived, it had seized the initiative. And yet, for Captain Daniel Monroe, the battle was far from over. The USS Liberty drifted silently among the debris, its sensors scanning every shadow, every flicker of movement. Monroe stood at the helm, shoulders squared, eyes sharp. The hunters were clever, relentless, but humans were something they had never faced: adaptable, unpredictable, and ruthless when survival demanded it. Lieutenant Jessica Hall approached, her face illuminated by the flickering holographic displays. "Captain, they're regrouping near the outer belt. They're trying to coordinate an escape, but every vector they take intersects with our interdiction field." Monroe's jaw tightened. "Good. Let them try. The moment they believe they might survive is the moment they make a mistake." Across the command consoles, crew members monitored streams of data with surgical precision. Every disabled hunter vessel had been salvaged for intelligence. Every captured protocol, every alien algorithm, every tactical maneuver was now a weapon in humanity's arsenal. Earth had become a fortress, and the humans aboard the Liberty were its most lethal instruments. "Captain," Jessica continued, "our boarding drones are ready. We can infiltrate the remaining hunter ships, neutralize their command systems, and take control before they even realize what's happening." Monroe's eyes glinted with steely resolve. "Do it. This is the end of their arrogance. Every hunter that survives this engagement will know who they're dealing with, and that knowledge will haunt them forever." Outside, the alien fleet moved in erratic formations, a mix of desperation and fear. Their once graceful maneuvers had devolved into chaos. It was almost poetic, Monroe thought, the great hunters reduced to trembling prey. The humans had exploited their arrogance, their hubris, their belief that the universe bowed to them. And now, humanity was finishing the lesson. From Earth's orbital stations, precise strikes rained down on the hunter vessels. Guided missiles tore through unshielded sections, while electromagnetic pulses scrambled their weapons and navigation. But the most devastating force was unseen: swarms of autonomous drones, invisible and silent, slipping through the hulls and systems of the alien craft. They disabled life support, reversed weapon targeting, and turned the hunters' own cannons against their comrades. Panic surged through the alien ranks. Dr. Ellen Mark's voice cut through the secure comms, calm but electric with excitement. "Captain Monroe, boarding operations are complete. Drones have secured the main vessels. We have control of their propulsion and weapons systems. They're effectively under our command." Monroe allowed himself a slow, measured smile. "Then let's finish it. Open communications. I want every surviving hunter to hear this." A ripple of static filled the void, and the alien fleet's flagship hesitated. Then, Monroe's voice came over, clear and commanding. "This is Captain Daniel Monroe of the USS Liberty. You hunted every species you encountered, thinking yourself invincible. You underestimated one species, and now, you are the hunted. Surrender, or face total annihilation." The alien response was a garbled hiss, the first tremor of fear audible in their alien cadence. They tried to maneuver, tried to strike back, but every attempt was anticipated, neutralized, and recorded. The hunters had once been gods of destruction; now, they were broken, caged, and helpless under the meticulous precision of humanity's strike. Monroe's gaze swept the holographic display. Ships that had once instilled terror now floated impotent, hijacked by human systems. Swarms of drones moved like shadows through the void, ensuring the aliens could neither flee nor retaliate. Humanity had not merely fought, they had orchestrated a symphony of destruction and control. Jessica's voice broke the tense silence. "Captain, the last flagship is responding. But it's different. I think they realize the extent of their defeat." Monroe's eyes narrowed. "Let them realize. Let them understand that arrogance and cruelty have consequences. This is a warning to every corner of the galaxy: Earth does not forgive. Earth does not forget. Earth hunts." The final strike was elegant, ruthless, and unavoidable. From hidden orbital platforms, human forces coordinated a series of rapid, surgical attacks. Missile volleys struck with pinpoint accuracy, energy pulses crippled critical systems, and boarding drones infiltrated the flagship's corridors. The remaining hunters were subdued one by one, stripped of control, and placed under containment. Monroe stepped back from the console, exhaling slowly. He had fought countless simulations, studied thousands of alien encounters, and planned for every scenario. But seeing it unfold, the raw terror in the alien ranks, the precision of humanity's strategy, was more profound than any data point or model could convey. Jessica stood beside him, her expression a mixture of relief and awe. "They're done. They can't fight anymore." Monroe nodded. "No. But they will remember. Every hunter that survives knows who defeated them, and it wasn't technology alone. It was humanity." On the communication channels, captured hunters were held for interrogation. The surviving aliens trembled, their arrogance shattered, their confidence destroyed. Monroe allowed himself a moment to reflect. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries, dismissed as weak, primitive, and unworthy of respect. Now, the universe had learned a new truth: Earth was not prey. Earth was a predator unlike any other. Dr. Mark's voice came through one final time, quiet and resolute. "Captain, all systems report secure. The galaxy has witnessed the reversal. The hunters are neutralized." Monroe exhaled, feeling the weight of command lift ever so slightly. "Good. Prepare for the aftermath. Secure all intelligence, document everything, and ensure no lessons are lost. The galaxy must remember what happens when arrogance meets humanity." The crew of the Liberty moved with precise efficiency, cataloging the alien vessels, securing prisoners, and salvaging technology. Every action was deliberate, every decision calculated, reflecting the same adaptability and intelligence that had turned the tide of the battle. Humanity was no longer reactive, it was proactive, strategic, and unstoppable. As Monroe gazed out through the observation window, the stars seemed to shimmer with a new clarity. Earth had not only survived the hunters, it had taught them, and the galaxy at large, an unforgettable lesson. Prey had become predator. The hunters had been hunted. Jessica's voice softened beside him. "Captain, do you think they'll ever recover from this?" Monroe shook his head slowly. "No. They will carry this memory for the rest of their existence. And so will every other species that thought they could intimidate us. Earth has changed the rules of the game. The galaxy will never be the same." A silence settled over the bridge. Outside, the void was calm once more, but it carried a subtle tension, a reminder that humanity was now a force to be reckoned with. Monroe allowed himself one final thought: they had faced annihilation, stared into the abyss, and emerged stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than ever before. And in that moment, the galaxy understood, there was a new power in the stars. A predator that could not be underestimated, could not be bargained with, and would never again be hunted without consequence. Monroe's voice, quiet but resolute, carried over the bridge. They hunted every species they found, until they met the one species that would never be hunted again. The hunter's legacy ended in defeat. Humanity's legacy began. The stars themselves had witnessed the reversal, and Earth had sent its message clearly. Arrogance and cruelty were met with precision, cunning, and relentless resolve. From now on, the universe would remember who had turned the hunt into a reckoning. The void was silent once more, but this time, it was alive with the hum of humanity's triumph, echoing across the galaxy.